onwards to Niigata. At daybreak, V.T prepared to move on to the next city. The Shursui twins stood in their path when they tried to. Kenji asked, "Do you intend to avenge your king?" However, Hanako kneeled before Fu, and Kimiko spoke to her. "My lady, we bring news that the Oni tsunami has attacked the city of Niigata. His army has already begun fighting with the Kami Bufu's army. If we can strike fast, we could end the war, acquire 2 more Onika and free both Sato and Niigata." Fu questioned, "We? Is this you asking to join the team?" Hanako rose as Kimiko kneeled, and stated, "My lady, you have inspired us. We didn't think you guys could ever beat a Kami. But you did it. We will do anything to be a part of your group, even if it costs us our lives." Risei interrupted them. "Okay, so obviously they're in. Come on, indulge them and let's go. We don't have any time to waste. We get to save 2 cities at once." Kenji chimed in, "I wish you weren't so impatient. If memory serves me well, we almost died in that last battle. It's only due to Bankei's hubris that we were spared. Tsunami and Bufu may not be as generous." Hanako jumped in. "We are trying to pledge our lives to the cause here. Can someone please take this seriously? Come on, Lady Fu, we are technically your great nieces." Fu laughed. "First off, you guys are in. So cut the Loyal Servants Act. Also, you're both much older than me, so you're more like my aunts." Kimiko, with a puzzled look on her face, scoffed. "That doesn't make sense, my lady. Your brother is our great-grandfather, Su." She was interrupted with a fist to the face. Fu then proceeded to walk east. Risei told the twins, "Take it from someone who has been punched a lot. That means she accepts you as pupils. That makes you my junior students. Let's go. We've got a war to shut down." The twins contemplated the situation they were in. Kenji whispered to them, "Those 2 take a little time getting used to. Don't worry." He laughed and started walking east in slow pursuit of the others. Wanoji yelled, "Wait for me," and gave chase as well. Daisuyo started walking east too. "You had better keep up, Shursui brats," he murmured before speeding up. The twins ran after him yelling, "We won't be shown up by you, Amana pig." And so, V.T gained 2 new members as they headed to a war of giants. Sleeping arrangements. On the way to Niigata, Risei grew restless. "Why don't I just teleport us there with my eyes? Why do we have to walk for days?" Frustrated, Fu asked, "Do you know how much ki that would take? You would be completely drained by the time we arrived." Risei responded, "I guess, but walking is exhausting too." Fu informed him that is why they camp and rest at night, and he responded, "But we haven't made camp in 3 days." Fu seemed shocked. She turned around and noticed how exhausted everyone was. She hadn't realized she was gaining stamina from Bankei's. She apologized, and promised to set up camp that very night. When the morning came, the twins were the first up. Looking around, they noticed Fu's mat was empty. They frantically searched for her, and eventually, they found her sleeping on Risei's mat. Kimiko exclaimed, "Ahem, my lady?" Fu opened up her eyes and jumped up in shock. She was usually the first to wake. Hanako blushed and stated, "I didn't know that was going on. I'm sorry if we intruded. Maybe you should get a tent." Fu, embarrassed, tried to explain. "It's not like that at all. I simply must have been sleepwalking and must have confused his bed for my own." Hanako condescendingly uttered, "If you keep making that mistake, you'll be out of commission for 9 months soon." Fu, now red in the face, yelled, "Now you, listen here." However, their bickering was interrupted by Risei, who had just awoken due to the noise. "Hey, what's with all the yelling? Sensei, pupils, is it time for morning training?" Hanako was about to speak but was promptly smacked by Fu, who then stated, "Of course, today is a special training day. Take the twins on a mile run, and they aren't to speak a word to you. If they do, I'll find a cruel punishment. Rise, eager as ever, told the twins, let's go. After a harsh morning training, the group finally headed out. They were almost in Niigata. Kenji was the first to peer over at the place. I hope you are ready. We may have 2 Onika on our side, but we face another 2 Onika, and they each have an army. Tsunami is the king of the sea. Bufu is the coldest of the kami. Being close to him for too long will freeze you to death. My plan is 2 teams. Daisuyo interrupted, wait. I must face Tsunami alone. It's a personal vendetta. Go it alone. Rise asked, why would you want to fight it alone? Daisuyo responded, you practically fought Sannin alone. Lady Fu took out Benkei's. Kenji jumped in. Rise almost died. Someone sacrificed their life. Lady Fu nearly would have died if Benkei's wasn't so cocky, Daisuyo yelled. I have to face that bastard. He eventually calmed himself down and voiced his motives. He took everything I had. He took them away. That monster deserves to be ashamed. I have trained to fight Tsunami for this very day. I joined the Royal Guard to gain the strength to beat him. Now, thanks to you, I have the means. Wanoji spoke up, I'm sure you have your reasons to fight. I understand, I, too, have reason to fight on this day. I'm from Niigata. My family lives in Niigata. I can't stand the idea of them being enslaved by a monster. I may just be a medic, I may not be a gifted fighter, but I swear I will fight with everything I have. For them, for their freedom, no cost is too high. So I say, let him go. I see it in his eyes. He is in pain just thinking about it. I could never dream of facing an Onika alone. But if Daisuyo thinks he can do it, let him. If he is wounded, I'll heal him. I know what my family means to me. I can't imagine how losing them would feel. I may not know what happened to him, but I believe in his resolve. Daisuyo thanked him and asked Rise to craft him a light, sharp weapon. Rise made him a kunai. I'm going on ahead. I'll strike after you guys attack Bufu. I need a lot of time to prepare, I will only have 1 shot at revenge. V.T wished him luck and saw him off. After he departed, Kenji stepped forward. Bufu will be a tough opponent indeed. He can make his body so cold that he will freeze you to your core if you step too close. He can fly, and his breath is colder than any place found in nature. However, his power comes mainly from his wings. If we can get his wings off, we may be able to beat him. But, remember to stay far away from him. Too close and you die. V.T looked forward to the battle. An army attacking by the sea with more than 100 boats clashed with a force of men from the city. A giant dragon made almost completely of water with a stone face rose out from the sea, and it clashed with a bright blue bird. Meanwhile, Bufu was perched on a giant icy bridge. The scene presenting itself in front of their eyes looked fierce, and V.T was ready to jump into the middle of this earth-shaking battle. The price of freedom. Rise formed a katana with his ki and handed it to Wanoji. I know you aren't a skilled fighter, but neither was I. Anyone can change. I want you to free them. I'll be right there with you. Let's go. Fu was annoyed by his sudden departure. Wait, you idiot, we haven't even figured out a way to get up there. V.T followed him towards Niigata. On the bridge, they were met with a stalemate. Tsunami would destroy the bridge but would be too slow to hit Bufu, and Bufu would use Tsunami's water to reform the bridge. When Bufu froze a part of Tsunami, the ice would fall into the sea and be replaced. Tsunami was almost completely water in the sea, he was practically invulnerable. Rise stopped when he was under the bridge and looked up at the bridge, wondering how they would get there. He then came up with an idea. When V.T caught up with him, he called for a last-minute huddle. He then teleported them to the ice bridge abruptly. Fu, confused and enraged, struck him and yelled, "What was that? We need a plan, and you just zoomed us into a war zone." Risei laughed and said, "If we aren't expecting it, neither will they." Kenji remarked with a sigh, "Planning isn't his strong suit. His process is more organic." Fu was livid, but she didn't have time to address her feelings. She noticed two people were fighting in front of Bufu. Risei recognized them immediately. It was Shigi Omoyo and Kichiyo Magumo. Risei yelled, "Oi! Why are you fighting each other?" Shigi responded, "I am the general of Lord Bufu's army." Kichiyo looked disappointedly at Fu. "My lord? Lady Fu, is that really you? I'm sorry if my presence here upsets you. Tsunami took over Sato and made me general, so when he said we were going to attack Niigata, I was excited to prove myself." Fu approached her. "If you are so intent on getting my approval, help us fight them. No price is too high for freedom. I will risk my life to stop them, and so will every member of the Sealing Corps." Risei interrupted, Our name is the Victory Team. Come on, Sensei, we have been over this." Fu struck Risei with her hand and continued, "Our name isn't important. What is important is our results." She lifted her staff. "In this staff, I have sealed the Monkey King Bankeis. We have rid the world of 2 Onika. Will you help us with these 2? Neither Shigi nor Kichiyo could answer before Tsunami burst through the ice bridge. Demon of the Waves. Tsunami was imposing. A giant serpent-like body made from water. His head was a huge stone dragon head. He looked at Kichiyo and was about to threaten her for even daring to talk to Fu. When a giant chain wrapped his neck, he began flailing in a rage and then dove into the sea. Daisuyo was holding the chain, and he acknowledged the group. As he disappeared into the sea with his opponent, they turned their attention back to the giant ice bird. Tsunami, in a bid to rid himself of the chains, dove further down into the depths. As the pressure grew in intensity, the chains tightened. Tsunami thought, how is this even possible? I can turn my entire physical form to water, but I can't seem to be able to slip out of these chains. Tsunami made for the surface and yelled to Daisuyo, "Who are you and what are these chains?" Daisuyo responded, "I am Daisuyo Amana. You don't remember, probably, but 17 years ago, you killed my parents. I forged these chains to stop you. They are a particular type of seal that can void the divine key of Onika. For my mother, father, brother, VT, and all humanity, I will stop you today, demon." Infuriated, Tsunami screamed, "You think mere chains will be enough to stop the demon of the waves? You stupid fool. I'll crush your body and drown you. After that, I'll dine with your corpse." Tsunami began making tidal waves crash into Daisuyo, but he held on tightly. Over and over Tsunami plunged to the depths and broached and pummeled Daisuyo with waves. Eventually, Daisuyo smiled and let go of the chains. He fell into the sea with a smirk still on his face. Tsunami, reeling from his victory, mouthed, "You fool, you should have never fought me in the water. I control the waves. Your mortal body had to fail at some point." Then, Tsunami was immobilized by the chains emerging from the water and wrapping all around his serpent body. A giant whirlwind trapped him and began spinning him. Tightening the chains, Daisuyo started surfing up his body, eventually landing atop his stony head. He shouted, "I am Daisuyo Amana. This is my revenge." Great Seal Tsunami, as he plunged a dagger into his head and made a seal. The demon of the waves was sucked into the dagger as Daisuyo calmly caught his breath. It's done. At any cost. Inspired by Daisuyo taking on Tsunami, the Shursui twins leaped into action. They were met by an ice wall that blocks their path as they charged the frozen avian threat. They were stunned as they slammed into the nearly invisible barrier. Just as soon as it appeared, it dissolved. An ice-cold air hit. Kimiko, and Hanako was speared with several ice needles. Watching from a distance, Kenji shouted, "I've got it." The right wing shoots ice darts. Its beak casts a cold gust capable of freezing a person, and the left wing makes ice barriers. Our course of action is simple. We need to systematically remove its defense and attack methods. Rise, if you take the left wing, Fu can get the beak, and I'll handle the right one. Now, all we have to do is distract it and force an opening. Rise teleported behind the left wing and cut it off without even waiting for a further plan to be developed. V.T stared at Fu, who was again enraged. "You idiot! You're wide open." Using Bankei's, she shot herself to Risei's location. The icy wind froze Risei's arms, and several ice stakes impaled him. Fu began charging ki in Bankei's. Several icy needles hit her at once. Before she passed out from blood loss, she cried out, "Extend, Bankei's." The staff pierced through the malevolent creature's exposed skull, shattering as it hit the top of the bridge. Its beak was destroyed. All that remained was the right wing. Risei grabbed her and teleported himself and Fu to Wanoji. He asked Wanoji to stop her bleeding. Kenji took it upon himself to take out the last wing then. He was concerned. I had planned to divide his attention and attack from 3 different positions. Now I'm the only warrior that is still combat ready. Our odds have become slim. If we wait too long, he will regenerate. I wish we could sway those 2 to our side. Kenji was struck in the lung by an ice spike and fell. Damn, I failed. I can't even breathe. Bufu approached him, about to finish him, but then a projectile struck him. He looked back in the direction it came from and saw Shigi in the distance. Shigi, with a determined look on his face, stated, "I am Shigi Omoyo, and I am proud to be a human. I will be your opponent." Bufu began shooting ice needles at him while Shigi began throwing everything he had at incredible speed, eventually cracking the last remaining wing. He ran out of items to throw shortly after, though, and fell to his knees, heavily damaged by the needles. Wanoji charged, and with the katana gifted by Risei, delivered a slash with all his might. Bufu taunted him, "Ha! You missed my wing, healer. Now you die." Bufu shot him with several ice shards. Kichiyo hurried to Shigi and said, "I know we were enemies, but I ask that you trust me. I'm his natural weakness. My power is immolation. I can turn anything into fire, even myself." Shigi responded, "Wait, but that means you'll..." She interrupted him. "I know. Trust me, and throw me at him now. It is our only chance." Shigi agreed, although reluctantly. "If I do this, I'll certainly die as well. But what's one life for the freedom of humanity?" Bufu and Wanoji were in a stalemate. Wanoji healed himself, and Bufu impaled him. Bufu grew bored with every minute that was passing. "It's time for this game to end. In a few minutes, my body will recover, and you'll all die, starting with you." Shigi launched Kichiyo with the last of his ki and collapsed, bleeding out. Kichiyo turned herself into a giant fireball that crashed into Bufu's wing, melting it off. Bufu was now finally defenseless. Wanoji hesitantly placed his left hand on Bufu, attempting to make a contact seal, but his arm froze to the elbow instantly. Bufu spoke, "My body is the coldest thing in this world. If you touch me again, you will lose your arm, and in 1 minute, my body will regenerate. Your only hope is to run. I'll be far too busy killing the others, so you can escape with your life. I know you can heal yourself." Wanoji laughed. "Oh, so that's your deal? I can keep my arm and my life. The price of my family's freedom is 1 measly arm? I will stop you at any cost. You can have it." Great Seal Bufu. He stabbed the gouge made by his earlier attack and placed his hand on Bufu to create a contact seal. As the blade absorbed Bufu, Wanoji's left arm froze entirely and began to crumble slowly. The phantom pain. The ice bridge had slowly started to melt. Wanoji gathered everyone to the center and prioritized healing Risei. Once he had regained consciousness, Wanoji had him teleport everyone safely to the ground, then spent the next few hours healing the group. No matter how much he tried, however, he could not resurrect Shigi. He must have bled out during the battle. They both gave their lives to destroy that wing. Look at me, still upset about a mere arm. What would those heroes think? I guess it's too late to ask them now. As the group started to go back to their facilities, they were surprised to see no sign of Bufu. Risei looked at Shigi's body, cold and lifeless but with a satisfied grin on his face. Fu searched around for Kichiyo. When she asked about her whereabouts, Wanoji's face turned to chagrin. Fu silently mourned yet another fallen hero. Kenji eventually spoke up. This is the truth of what we are risking. We are freeing humanity from gods and demons. We could die at any moment. I hope you all have realized that. Daisuyo interrupted him. Did you win? I have tsunami, and a headache. He approached the group, his clothes torn, and his body weary. Risei yelled, Daisuyo. I'm impressed you managed to beat him alone. The other responded, don't be. I've been planning this for 17 years. Also, both you and Lady Fu have done the same. I refuse to be embarrassed by the two of you. All it took was time to prepare. I started a powerful whirlpool when I left. I acclimated to the pressure of the depths and prepared chains exclusively made to stop him. As I said before, I've been planning this for years. Risei laughed for a moment, but stopped on the spot as a dark figure, followed by another group, approached VT. He yelled, identify yourselves, or we will assume you are enemies. The foreboding figure laughed and responded, is that any way to talk to an old friend? The whole of VT recognized the voice instantly. A distant light from darkness. The mysterious figure was obscured by the shade of the trees close by. As he stepped out and revealed himself, it almost made no difference. He was in black clothes, with a mask obscuring all but his eyes. His voice, however, was the obvious telltale. It was Sonoto Iga, the man that sealed a ninja and the inspiration for the Great Seal. Risei was elated to see him and asked, are you here to join us? Sonoto responded promptly, no, not yet anyway. I still have a monumental undertaking of my own to accomplish. I've already begun working towards it. Ever since I heard about the fall of San Nin, I've been hunting ninja. I've already sealed another 6-inch. V.T gasped collectively. Sonoto continued, it's nothing really, compared to your sealing 2 Onika. 4. We sealed 4 Onika now. Sonoto was impressed, and congratulated them for their achievements. Risei asked, so, why did you come to meet us then? Sonoto got a serious look on his face and removed his mask. Because I bring a troubling update. An Oni and a Kami have joined forces and are attacking human cities in retaliation for your actions. Worse yet, they have an unexpected synergy together. Risei looked worried. That's bad. Which Onika, and where do we find them? Sonoto pulled a map from his sleeve, in Musashi, just south of the capital. Furufu, the heat wolf, and Tsunagumo, the sandstorm raccoon. Furufu can heat the air around him, and Tsunagumo has full control of sand. But when they use their powers in tandem, Kenji spoke up, lava style, that is very dangerous indeed. Risei addressed the group, but Daisuyo and the Shursui twins wouldn't stop looking at Sonoto's eyes, one red and the other black. Noticing their stare, he explained what brought that upon him. That's right. You descend from Shursui and Amana. Yes, these are their eyes. An old man gave them to me to assist in my endeavor. These eyes are similar to Ichiban's. The eye of Amana is red and allows the absorption of flesh. Using that ability, it can regenerate any organs or limbs lost in battle. Morbid as it may seem, it can also reanimate corpses as mindless puppets. The Eye of Shui instead is a different power entirely. It gives the user the ability to slow time for a brief moment once per day. It should only be used in extreme cases. Kenji asked, "So, are they your corpse slaves?" he said, pointing to the figures following the man. Sonoto responded, "Yes, and no. By using the power of the Ninji Kagebushin, I can make fragile clones of myself. But sometimes, very interesting things happen when I combine the reanimated corpses with Kagebushin. I have decided to call them ninja. I can control them completely, and should they get damaged, I can heal them using other corpses. They are handy when sealing ninji." Wanoji spoke, "I think it's kind of sick that you are corrupting the dead to make slaves." Sonoto frowned. "I know it's morbid. But it is for the betterment of humanity. You know, I can heal that arm of yours." Wanoji yelled, "Absolutely not. Kichiyo and Shigi gave their lives in that battle to regrow my arm. It would be an insult to their sacrifice. I can still feel my hand. That phantom pain is a memorial to fallen heroes. Besides, I have a replacement arm. Bufu Ice Arm. One-winged angel." Wanoji's arm was replaced with a solid chunk of ice, an arm's shape with crooked fingers. Sonoto remarked, "How monstrous, is it painful?" Wanoji answered, "It doesn't hurt as much as the thought of how I acquired it." Just when he was about to offer some sort of reply, Sonoto turned backwards and screamed, "Get ready." No time to explain. A strong gust of wind rattled the trees, and a giant light green bird with ruffled feathers and a long bare neck approached. "I am the Oni Garuda, and I've come take vengeance for my brethren." Rise looked at the foul beast. "You look a lot uglier in person." Fu wondered how he could be as stupid as to taunt it. Garuda dived at them without respite. Kenji, thinking fast, used a rock wall to protect everyone. The bird slammed into the wall, cracking it. Sonoto's face shifted to a look of terror. "We need to hide." Rise, however, shrugged. "Hide? We can beat this stupid vulture easily." Sonoto warned him, "It's not him I'm worried about. Just trust me. I'm going to turn us invisible with a ninja. We need to sneak away." VT decided to follow his instructions as Garuda continued to smash the rock wall. Just then, a very human-like form with an extremely bright white wing approached Garuda. Garuda scoffed at the new threat. "Go away. Don't you see I'm busy hunting?" The brilliant being only spoke one word. "Masamune." A beautiful long diamond katana appeared before him. As he grasped the sword, he swung it to his side. With that simple motion, a wave of brilliant light came from the blade's edge and severed Garuda's left wing, also cutting the stone wall in half. Garuda flopped about, and the one-winged angel simply said, "You are not worthy of Masamune's wrath." He created a spear with his left hand, which he then threw right through the center of Garuda's being, rendering him to crystal form almost instantly. The angel then flew away. Once it was safe to come out, Sonoto spoke again. "His name is Kamikaze. He is the strongest of all the kami. He is the only thing that has ever fought Onokage and not lost instantly." V.T remained silent. Everyone had been there when Onokage killed Ichiban and most of the royal guard. This power was all too familiar. Eventually, Rise broke the silence. "He is very strong. He's clearly in a league above us. Someday, we will have to face him. If all of us have an Onika, then maybe we could stand a chance." Sonoto informed them. He knew we were watching. He would not have used Masamune otherwise. An unfamiliar voice behind them interrupted. "Very observant. Don't make any sudden moves. You may slowly turn to face me." It was the very same Kamikaze, standing right behind them. "Mercy." VT stared silently at the angelic figure before them. They wondered how he could have snuck up on them without anyone noticing him. They wondered how a fight against him would play out. Kamikaze spoke quietly. I'm sure you're thinking about attacking. But consider Garuda your first warning. I didn't come for your heads. I don't care about humanity, Oni, or even Kami. I don't care if you continue your quest or not. I only entered this conflict so my brother couldn't get his way. I will warn you again, if you ever raise your swords against me, you will all die. I will show you the mercy of leaving you alive for now. No matter how many Anika you gather, you will never be in my league, he sighed. I have a final warning for you, though. Kamikaze disappeared, and they noticed his speed was so much greater than mortal eyes could observe. Suddenly, they felt something on their faces. On everyone's right cheek was a slim, shallow cut, barely big enough to shed a single drop of blood. Sonoto spoke, that is his mercy. The rest of the Anika are a hassle indeed, but Onikage and Kamikaze are monsters to beware of. Rise, with a passionate look, burst out. I have a plan. First, let's seal Garuda while we're here. Next, we march to the desert and take out those 2 terrorists. Everyone will have Anika that way. That will make us strong enough to take out Onikage. Using his power, we will beat Kamikaze and then clean up the rest of them. Kenji interjected. That's quite the ambitious plan, but what if we aren't strong enough? Rise interrupted him. We fought Onikage, we know how he fights. Fu brought a fan to Rise and handed it to him. She said, I knew nothing that monster could say would change your mind, so I sealed Garuda to save some time. Rise smiled in approval and told everyone, I can't wait to see the look on Onikage's face when we seal him. Sonoto wished them good luck and bid them farewell, proceeding towards his personal quest. VT got ready to venture to the desert to meet their final obstacle. Blitz. As they reached the desert, they looked around for commotion. Once they would locate it, they would know where to find their quarry. Kenji reminded everyone to stick to the plan, and they ventured forth to confront Furufu, the Heat Wolf, and Tsunagumo, the Sandstorm Tanuki. The Magma duo was a deadly alliance. Kenji asked VT to stick to the plan. Rise forged 2 hand axes and gave one each to the twins. Everyone nodded and headed out in different directions. The twins took a frontal path and ran headlong to the Magma duo. Tsunagumo, noticing them, gathered vast heaps of sand in the air as Furufu heated it to a melting point, turning it into a large wave of lava. The wave flew towards the twins, but before it could touch them, a wall of water stopped it, cooling it down. From the eastern side, Wanoji chilled it until it had turned into rock. Kenji, from behind the beast, used the newly cooled rock to crush and pin the duo. As they attempted to get up, Fu and Rise dived in from above, oppressing the monsters with a joint and unrelenting airwave. Once the beasts were unable to move, the twins moved in and sealed them into the axes gifted by Rise. After the fight had ended, Rise stared at Kenji and remarked, I'm not sure how that went so well, they didn't even have time to react. Kenji smirked and laughed. Fu asked how Kenji thought of that plan. Call it a blitz. It's a good tactic to throw everything you have at your enemy rapidly. They aren't expecting you to go all out. By doing this, you minimize your defense in exchange for a higher offense. Your opponent doesn't expect it and they have no chance to recover, nor know how to react quickly. We have fought many Anika, they like to systematically disable opponents. Anika fights Anika one-on-one. People fight people one-on-one and two-on-two evenly. However, when people fight 2-on-1, the higher number is almost always going to win. Thus if people fight Anika, they will try to win with numbers. The only advantage an Anika has is its powers. We all have powers and there are more of us. They no longer have an advantage now, and if we can keep this level of synergy between us, we have a serious advantage. Rise interrupted, so that's how we beat Onikage? Kenji paused. It's our only chance. My greatest shame is that when facing Onakij, I was rendered immobile. Because I failed to react, my lord died, and I lived. Kenji paused as his eyes teared up. Wanoji grabbed him and comforted his distressed comrade, whispering, I too am alive for my inability to act. I was our healer, seeing so many killed so fast. I had hoped to play dead and heal after the battle. I walked through, saw everyone without a head or a heart. The captain, too, it was terrible. Maybe if I had. Risei stopped him before he could continue. Enough. I was there too, don't you dare say you could have saved Rajan. Our captain died saving me. You don't need to carry that burden as well. I have felt it every day since. Rajan was like the father I never knew. I watched him sacrifice his life for me. I don't ever want to feel that again. Daisuyo spoke, so, that's what happened? My experience was pleasant compared to you guys. I was the outlook, but Onakij kicked me into the sea. When I came to, I just swam, and I was too late. I missed it all. To hear the captain died such a heroic death. It should have been me. I should have paid my debt that day. Risei stopped him too. Don't you ever think about sacrificing like that. Rajan would have been a much better member of VT than I was. The one who should have died, is me. Fu slapped Risei and spoke, you really are an idiot. You still don't understand. VT exists because of you. I could not have gotten as strong as I am without seeing you push yourself so hard. The rest of the team was inspired by your fight with Sannin. You aren't a member of VT. I think we all agree when we say, you are our leader. Not I. You are the very definition of why VT exists. She had finally used the right team name this time. I would gladly die to save you, Risei. You are the only thing that helps me feel safe in this whole mess. She paused before she had said too much, and when she looked to the side, she noticed both twins giggling amongst themselves. Is that me? Risei stood oblivious to what she meant as ever, while the rest of the group stood there awkwardly, not sure what to say. Eventually, Kenji spoke up, well, we will have time for these admissions and discussions later. The matter at is the capital. We are close. Everyone needs to be at the top of their game. Soon, we will avenge our king. I want the world to be safe for my son. Daisuyo spoke up, I agree with Kenji. I will stop Onakij for Lord Ichiban and for my little brother. We must win. It's what we have been working towards. Risei giddied with excitement, then what are we waiting for? Let's go. With that outburst, VT made for the capital. Outside of the city, the group suddenly stopped on their path. They were facing a monument with 12 graves. Here lies our heroes. The King of Humanity, Our Lady, and his royal guards. Ichiban, the first man, a great king and sire to humanity. Their eyes grew round when they noticed the rest of the graves. Lady Fu, our lord's treasured daughter, gift and beauty. Royal Guard Captain Jushiro, brave defender of the capital for 15 years, the greatest swordsman to ever live. Hotaro, the brute, proctor of the exam and strongest man ever to join the guard. Goroji, the quick, the fastest. Wanoji, the healer. Toyomasa, the spark, a master of electricity. Nagamasa, the fire, uses fire-first style. Ranjiro, the cold, master of ice. It then went on. Kenji, the sly, the smartest man. Daisuyo, the wave, master of water. Risei, the sharp, strong swordsman and swordsmith. These brave heroes fought and died in the face of the tyrant Onakij. As humans, let us never forget their sacrifice. The tyrant has evacuated the capital, but we will always remember our roots. Risei looked confusedly at the grave his own name was inscribed on. Is that me? Are these us? He wandered onto the grave, marked Captain Jushiro. Rajan, I wish you could have been here with us. I swear, I will seal him on this day. Fu stumbled to Ichiban's grave, marked by a statue of her father. She kneeled silently in front of it and prayed in private. Kenji declared, our battle with Onokage is incipient. We shall make a note in history before this moment, so that our words are heard in the event of tragedy. He then spoke solemnly. We are the brave members of the victory team. We swear to assail Onokage on this day in the hope of freeing humanity. I, Kenji Iwata, fight against this monster to avenge our king and for the future of my son, the swordsman Kengo Iwata. Wanoji stepped up after him. I, Wanoji Taira, fight for the safety of my family and their future. I am Daisuyo Amana, and fight for my younger brother Yoshi, and so I can honor the memory of my great-grandfather Lord Amana, and also to pay my debt to another hero. He quickly glanced at Risei. I, Hanako Shursui, fight for the health of my sister Kimiko and our great-grandfather Lord Shursui. Her sister mirrored her vow. I, Kimiko Shursui, also fight for the good of my sister Hanako and our great-grandfather Lord Shursui. And, we fight for our lady, Lady Fu. It was now Fu's turn. I, Fu Ban, last daughter of Ichiban, fight to honor my father's memory and for the freedom of all humanity. And, for one other very important person, she mumbled the last part. I, Risei, fight for all humanity and so that no child will ever have to grow up without a family. I fight in honor of Captain Jushiro and Lord Ichiban, thus, I take from their namesake to name myself Risei Banshiro. I swear to protect everyone and fight until I can no longer move. I will not let the fallen go unavenged. We, the victory team, fight for the freedom of humanity. Once they had all spoken their vows, they walked into the capital with heavy hearts and in high spirits. How long has it been? As VT walked through the fallen capital, they realized how everything looked different. Where people once lived, now were marks and stains of ash and blood. The entire city was a large vacant lot. The only difference was a throne made of human skulls. Onokage sat there, visibly bored. V.T approached him, and as they got closer, they could make out his figure, and they were stunned to see his seat. Hearing them approach, Onokage called them out. Do you want me to start now or wait until you get here? VT stood stunned. Onokage laughed and taunted, I forgot you mortals have to rely on your senses. I have felt your presence since you arrived here. Now, let me get a good look at you. He jumped from his throne and flew down to their location. Standing before them, he spoke again. Ah, I see a lot of familiar faces. Royal guards, right? I have to say I'm very impressed most of you attacked me back then to save your king. You even succeeded for a whole 5 minutes before most of you died, that is. But here you are. Some of you managed to escape my grasp alive. Why come back? What reason could you stupid mortals possibly have to come back and stand before me? Do you have a death wish, perhaps? You stand no chance. You're all going to die. Risei responded, we came here to seal you and avenge our king and our comrades. Onokage laughed. Oh, so that's it? How foolish of me. I killed your friends, and you missed them. That's what humans do. I am just so sorry. I'll tell you what. Let me bring them back for you, then. Inorganic reanimation. Onokage raised his arms, and the ground shook. Kenji asked, what on earth is he doing? The demon laughed. Give me a moment, I have to make sure I get them all, it's quite many, so it's hard to remember their faces. Okay, I am sure you are going to love this. Onokage's hands launched arcs of purple electricity. That energy started entering the ground, and from the sand, multiple figures began to emerge. Inorganic reanimation. Goroji, Nagamasa, Ranjiro, Toyomasa, Hotaro, Jushiro. And, let's not Ichiban. The human form started transforming into the likeness of each of the fallen heroes. With tears in her eyes, Fu asked, how is this possible? Is this some trick? Onakij laughed and explained, oh, no. It isn't. It's very simple. I'm that powerful I can pull dead souls from the far plane and give them a vessel in this plane, and best of all, I can control their body. The reanimations were now fully formed. Ichiban gained consciousness and looked at VT. He glanced over at Fu and asked, my dear girl, how long has it been? The greatest sword. Fu erupted into tears. Onakij spoke up. I see you missed dear old daddy. It may still be a minute or more before they can move again. But as you see, it is them. They remember everything they knew before they died and probably heard a little gossip in the far plane. Go ahead, say something you have wished to say for a long time and see how they react. Fu approached Ichiban, while Risei approached Jushiro and Wanoji approached Hotaro. Kenji, the twins, and Daisuyo headed for the remaining reanimations and engaged in casual banter with them. Wanoji yelled at Hotaro, Taro-chan. Is that really you? Hotaro smiled and said, it is me, Wano-chan. Wanoji smiled and said, I still remember that day. We sat by the shore and had just poured wine, then it was time for a meeting. We said we would have that drink after our duty. Hotaro remembered and replied, I am sorry, old friend. I didn't mean to leave you alone. I hope you can forgive me. It'll be hard. I still haven't forgiven myself. Hotaro asked, is my little brother okay? Have you seen him? Wanoji answered, Ganda. I have not had a chance to look for him. I've been busy. We have been sealing away Onika. Risei and Jushiro stared at each other a while longer. Daisuyo asked Nagamasa why they were just standing there and not talking. Nagamasa responded that great swordsmen could communicate without words. It seemed they could read each other's eyes, breathing arms, and swords. Just then, Jushiro finally spoke, I see it must have been quite a hard road for one so young to take. But, you are no doubt more skilled and refined than last time we met. Risei responded, indeed, it has been hard, but I was able to overcome the hardship and emerged on top. We have been busy sealing Onika and freeing humanity from them. Jushiro responded, as I would expect from you. Your eyes, they are like the king's. Risei interrupted, Lord Ichiban entrusted them to me so I can protect Lady Fu and the rest of humanity. Jushiro smiled and said, then he definitely placed them in good hands. Ichiban reached out first and comforted Fu, who was still quite shaken. My dear girl, not since your mother died have I seen you this vulnerable. Has my passing really been that hard on you? Fu answered, it's just, I'm so busy. This is my first chance to grieve your loss. Ichiban held her and whispered, poor girl, your only crime was being my youngest child. I'm sorry your burden is so heavy. Fu stopped crying and replied, it may be a heavy burden, but I don't have to bear it alone. Thank you for putting Risei next to me. Without him, I would be lost. Also, the other members of VT are all invaluable assets. Because so many good people helped me, I'm so much stronger. For the first time in my life, I actually feel like I deserve to be your daughter. Onakij suddenly laughed and spoke up, what a truly heartwarming reunion. Ichiban, my brother, I have something for you. I'll be right back. He flew off at incredible speed. In just a few moments, he had returned with Ichiban's great sword and placed it in the ground before him. This confused Ichiban as he pulled an identical replica from his back. Onakij spoke, I can control the far plane. Using its powers, I can not only summon a person's soul back to this world, but also gift them a new body and replicate their clothes and weapons. Now, Ichiban, draw your true sword. I need to see what happens. The greatest swordsman. Ichiban grasped his blade, and the imitation on his back started getting absorbed into the true blade. Onakij laughed. Ha! It's becoming stronger by absorbing its brother. As you all absorbed Onika, you became more powerful. I love it. Show me how to do it, so I can absorb my brother as well. Do it, and I will let you live." Every member of VT looked at each other. Then they collectively looked at the fallen heroes reanimated before them. Risei stepped forward with his right arm outstretched and his hand closed in a fist. VT nodded. He then turned his thumb upside down and yelled to Onikage, "We will never help a monster like you. We told you we came to seal you." Onikage smiled then, and shouted, "Good. In that case, let the games begin. Hotaro, kill him." Hotaro's body reacted against his will, and he reached for a sword. His body was compelled to abide by Onikage's order. He yelled to Wanoji, "Run, Wano-chan. I can't stop." But the other didn't move, and the sound of a sword ripping through flesh resonated in the area. Hotaro's blade was nesting between Wanoji's lungs. Everyone around let out a confused gasp. Hotaro yelled, "Why did you not run? Wano-chan, I'm so sorry. I had no control. Can you ever forgive me?" Wanoji looked back at him with a gentle smile. "I don't blame you, Taro-chan. I'm just sorry we couldn't have that drink. But the real question is if you will ever be able to forgive me." Sub-Zero. His frozen hand grasped Hotaro by the neck and froze his whole body instantly. Wanoji squeezed, and Hotaro simply shattered apart. The blade inside his chest turned to dust, and he collapsed. Onikage laughed then, and ordered, "Now the rest of you. Kill them all." The fallen heroes readied their weapons, all except for Ichiban. VT readied theirs as well and locked blades with them. Risei looked at Jushiro and threw down his Garuda fan. He spoke, "I'm not going to use that. The blade of Amana and the blade of Shursui are the only weapons worthy of crossing blades with the greatest swordsman. I am so honored to have a chance to challenge you, unreserved and unrelenting. I'll show you everything you taught me." Jushiro responded, "I'm glad you know I can't hold back. His spell has made me much stronger and faster. This will be my only chance to pass the title of the greatest swordsman to you. You'll need to be 100 times the warrior you were on that day, Koinu." Risei laughed and responded, "Rajan-sensei. I'm sorry for you, but I'm 1,000 times better than that day. Let's go." Jushiro and Risei crossed blades high and low from the left and right flanks. Onikage sneakily ordered Ichiban to enter the fight. However, Ichiban grasped his sword from the ground and began teleporting around the battlefield, cutting down his opponents. The first was Goroji, then Nagamasa. In seconds, he had defeated all of the fallen heroes, except himself and Jushiro. He then turned to Onikage and said, "Brother, I will never be your slave." Onikage laughed and replied, "Then you are no use to me. Inorganic reanimation, release Ichiban." Ichiban slowly started turning to dust, and as he did, the great sword fell to the earth. While evenly clashing with Jushiro, Risei smiled and said, "I'm sorry Rajan-sensei, but I've no lessons left to learn. It's time to end this now." Jushiro smiled as Risei teleported to the great sword and again behind him. With one perfect slash, Jushiro was bifurcated, and he too began to turn to dust. While fading, the master smiled and said, "I'm glad you overcame the hardship and losses suffered on that day. You've lived your life and moved on. I know our future is in good hands. I hereby grant you the title of the greatest swordsman of the human world." "Thank you, Risei." Risei responded, "Sensei. The years did go by, but it never got any easier. It didn't help. Nevertheless, I gladly accept the title, and I hope you can rest well. You have no idea." Risei teleported to his Garuda fan and placed it on his shoulder. Onikage laughed and taunted them. "What's wrong? You all look like you just saw a ghost. You know." However, he didn't make it in time to finish his monologue. He was suddenly bifurcated by the great sword Risei had picked up. Risei screamed, "That was the last straw. You have no idea how bad you just messed up, but I will show you. Before his top half could hit the ground, Risei used a mana and Shursui to remove his arms. His rage had reached a new point, well beyond fury. He couldn't stand how that demon was toying with him and his friends and former comrades. A voice rose from his fan. This rage. It has such power. Do you want more power? Say my name. I'll give you strength you never knew possible. The fan glowed, and Risei planted his swords in the ground. He held it high above himself and yelled, Garuda. Give me more power. I want to strike down my foe. Give me a new form. Garuda, transform me. Garuda's voice was now clearer. Ask, and you shall receive. From the fan, a wave of energy burst out, covering Risei. 2 brown feathered wings formed on his back, and his fingers grew sharp talons. Risei looked at Onakage as he recomposed himself. He stated, I call this trance. I'm merged with an Onaka's power. I'll use this power to make you suffer the way you can't even imagine. Onakage laughed. You better bring a lot more than Garuda, the weakest Onaka. Risei flew at him, and using his right claw, he gouged a hole in the demon's chest. He then formed a condensed ball of air in his left hand and buried it into the gaping wound. The force sent Onakage flying backward into a stone wall that soon turned to sand and melted to lava. Onakage quickly emerged from the lava pool, burned and torn. Risei took no chance and teleported behind him, then yelled, Shippuden. As he slammed another wind ball into the side of his face, he sent him flying to the ground. Once Onakage hit the ground, Kenji rushed onto him. As Daisuyo blitzed him, he shot him with many fast jets of water from his fingertips. Meanwhile, Fu had gathered enough ki to become a giant. She grabbed him, throwing him into the air. Risei teleported in front of Onakage and hit him with another Shippuden. As he was once again sent towards the ground, Fu extended Benkei's to meet him in the air and hit him with a solid wind blast, sending him even harder to the ground. Once he regained his ground, Onakage jumped to his feet and started charging a black and dark purple ball of negative energy in his claw. He charged Risei and yelled, Death Ball. As the orb of dark energy flew into Risei's stomach, the young man backed down and hit the ground. Onakage laughed and limped towards him. You know, I think you guys did better than anyone else ever has, including Kamikaze. However, he grabbed the wings on Risei's back and ripped them off. You are still just mortals, merely borrowing our power. Now the time has come to. He suddenly froze on the spot as Wanoji grabbed his legs, yelling, Absolute Zero. Now. This is our only chance. Wanoji, who remained connected with Onakage's freezing body, also froze instantly, and upon the slightest movement, he crumbled into nothing. Risei teleported in front of Onakage and forged a broadsword. He ran into the demon and formed a contact seal, finally yelling, Great Seal Onakage. Onakage disappeared into the sword. Risei, with a triumphant smile, held up the blade in victory. However, just then, a large crack formed on its edge. It's over. The weapon cracked and shook. Risei stood down, exhausted and confused. I don't understand. Why? Onakage laughed from inside the sword. Your sword and seal are much weaker than I am. Or did you maybe think you could hold the entire ocean in a little cup? Nothing shall forestall my return. The sword trembled and glowed. Fu rushed to Risei's side moments before the weapon exploded, and shrapnel littered Risei's body. The tip of the blade was now protruding from Fu's left eye. She screamed so hard and fainted. Risei, visibly shook, began to walk towards her, despite being weakened by the numerous wounds he had sustained. He slowed from a walk to a limp, then stumbled, and then started crawling. Kenji used his biggest rock wall to buy some time to formulate a plan, despite not having much they could come up with. Daisuyo and the Shursui twins asked for his advice. Meanwhile, Onakage lifted his right hand, and a faint purple light glowed from each fingertip. He then shot all of them at the wall. Every single one of the light blades pierced Kenji. He was caught by the attack and spat a mouthful of blood before collapsing. In a frenzy, Onakage rushed the twins, grabbing one in each hand. With one firm squeeze, he effortlessly snapped their necks. Daisuyo responded quickly by wrapping his chain around Onakage's right arm. Still, the demon simply used his left arm to sever his right one, not caring about it at all, and threw a death ball, hitting Daisuyo in the chest and knocking him out momentarily. He then casually walked to Fu and Risei. He taunted them with his disgustingly wicked grin. "It's over. You fools thought mere mortals could stop me? The actual gods can't stop me. But I do have mercy in me. I'm going to kill you both, so neither has to witness the other die." Death Orb. He gathered a giant death ball in his right claw. Risei, bleeding out, watched in horror as the death orb began to approach them. He knew it would be the end. The orb made contact, their clothes were burned, and their flesh was twisted. However, it looked like something had stood between the sphere and them. Daisuyo was covering the two like a blanket. He whispered, "Finally, my debt to you has been paid. You guys have to live. We were so close to finishing him. If only we had more time, I think we could have beaten him. More people and more Onika, and we could have." Risei in shock as Daisuyo fell quiet, a very peaceful look on his face. He crumpled down to the ground, not to ever move again. Dissatisfied, Onakage started his monologue once more. "Yet again, I'm about to kill you, and someone shows up to take your place. Maybe it's fate. I should keep you alive. I'll just take you from city to city. I'll try to kill you, and more people will sacrifice themselves. Doesn't that sound like fun?" When he noticed the scowl of hate in Risei's eyes, he pressed on, "No? Shame. Well then, let's just finish this little game of tag." As he started creating a new death orb, suddenly, a figure appeared in front of him. It was an old man with incredible long white hair, a long white beard and a long white mustache. The figure slowly walked towards them. He was carrying a deck of cards, and the sight made Onakage uneasy. "Why are you here?" The old man held up two cards and said, "I'm afraid fate hath decreed. Those two are important. They are not for you to kill." Onakage replied in a rage. "And who the hell is fate to decide? I'll just kill you too then, dear uncle." Onakage threw the death orb at the old man. But alas, he simply intercepted it with a single card. From the ashes. Onakage was shaken. Upset. He rushed at the old man in a frenzied rage. How dare he interrupt his fun? And not only. How dared fate tell him what he could and could not do? The figure pulled out another card with an hourglass on it. Upon seeing it, Onakage stopped, completely frozen in time. In fact, not only Onakage was unable to move. Time had stopped. The old man gathered all the corpses and the survivors and brought them away to a distant place. As soon as time was back to normal, Risei woke up. He looked at the old man and asked, "Who are you? How did you save us, and why? Where is everyone?" The old man responded, "I don't really have a name. I simply monitor time, fate and destiny. It is destiny that beckons you. I saved you because it is not your time to die there. You and the woman have much work ahead of you. I'll be there for guidance. In 5 years, you will be ready." He paused, then sent him an apologetic look. "One more thing. I am sorry to inform you that all of your comrades perished. It was a necessary lesson, but a cruel one, nonetheless. I have healed all of your wounds, except for one I wasn't able to. Her left eye had to be removed." Risei interrupted, "This happened because I failed to seal him. They all died, and she lost an eye. Can't you take my left eye and give it to her? It was her father's. I'm sure she needs it more than I do." The old man responded, I can, but are you sure you want to give something so important that has been entrusted to you specifically? Rise nodded. She is our eyes. I am our hands. The old man smiled and performed the procedure. Once Rise had recovered, he tried to teleport them to a secret base but couldn't. He had used all his ki and had nothing more left in him. He waited until Fu woke up. When she came to, the old man explained the situation to her as well. Together, Fu and Rise joined hands and teleported to the man's secret base. The figure smiled and thought, in 5 years, they will be much stronger. But now, I better get started on training the others trained too. Thus this part of the story has reached its end. But Rise's tale is far from over.